With Legends of the Force in our sights, we are on the edge of being in the calm in the storm. Welcome to the podcast where we discuss how to outmaneuver your opponents. I'm Faith and I'm here with Jrod, while Dudeness is away. While there are some PQs still going on, most of the SWU world is focused on Set 5, which will be in our hands in 18 days. Today we are going to continue our conversation about the set. Jrod, which non-legendary card do you think will be the most impactful from Set 5?
I'm going to use an uncommon here. I think we might have mentioned him because he was in the spoilers from last set, but the card that I think will have one of the most impacts in this next format is going to be Coyote Mundi. He is a ground unit for cost, aggression, heroism, 4/4, Force Jedi Republic, and then when played, you may use the Force. If you do, draw 2 cards. 4/4 for 4 stat line is okay. It's not on rate or above rate, but it's good enough. And then the fact that you can just draw 2 cards is just phenomenal. I have been testing a little bit with the control deck, and you get ahead in cards, and then all of a sudden they play Kitty Mindy and they draw 2 cards, and then you're like, man, they're ahead of me on board and they have the same amount of cards in my hand, and it just feels like real bad. So I think that guy will definitely add a lot to, if I had to guess, a little blue-red mid-range coming out of the heroism side. So I think that's one card that I think is really going to be an important player in the meta for Worlds.
I would agree with you that in this meta, he will probably hold a pretty strong role, especially in any red heroism deck will most likely run it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got a lot of cards, and I'll even attach to him Mace Windu, which is this new set 5 here. He is a grounds unit, 6 cost, aggression, heroism, 6/6, Force Jedi Republic. He has overwhelm, and when played, you can use the Force if you do deal 4 damage to a unit. So he's kind of like a mini wrecker, but a Force wrecker. And I think this guy's going to be pretty good as well. Obviously, you have the same benefit of if you can ECL this guy in or give him ambush somehow, it's going to be pretty impactful. And obviously him being Force Jedi is really big compared to Wrecker not being that. So playing Force Throw, which is also in these colors. I just think that this color red aggression in general got a lot of good stuff from this set for heroism. I think we're definitely going to see, maybe it's Anakin, maybe it's Han 2, but there's definitely going to be some mid-range leader. And I actually think Anakin can be real big, especially all these 2/4s on turn 1 rolling around, due to the fact that he breaks the parity by just doing 2 damage to his base, and then your 2/4 can trade for their 2/4, and then you're really ahead. So it'll be interesting for sure to see what happens here in the future, but they get a lot of big cards, I think, from this set.
Yeah, I want to talk about, as you mentioned, those 2/4. So for those that are unfamiliar, in this set, they wanted to give every color pairing a 2/4 on turn 1 to potentially play it for 2 resources. The only exception is Cunning Heroism, which got it in R2-D2.
R2 was in Twilight, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 sets ago. We didn't realize at the time how great that stat line was, but they kind of talked about it wanting to be fair for all the units. And Jrod in particular had mentioned one of these 2/4 units that he thought was really good. Well, why don't you go ahead with that one?
So that other one that I mentioned, which would go right into a blue-red mid-range heroism deck, is Yaddle. She is a 2-cost ground unit, vigilance heroism, 2/4, Force Jedi Republic, restore 1, which is massive, and then on attack, each other friendly Jedi unit gains restore 1 for this phase. I am a big Palpatine player, as many people know, and I've been playing a lot of Queel. And the restore 1, which really doesn't seem too impactful, but man, when you're playing Palpatine, people already don't want to kill your unit, so they let them live. And then you're like, okay, I'll attack your base for 2, restore 1, and you're just chipping away at their base and healing yours and clawing stuff back. I think Yaddle really provides a lot of things that blue heroism wants, especially on a turn 1 play. She's survivable. She restores your base if they attack, your base first, and then you have to attack there. Just a lot of good things from this unit, and obviously it also would give you the Force if you have the correct base for that. So again, between this and there's also 2/4 and red. It's also very good. Giving this color pairing a really powerful turn 1 play is pretty important.
Yeah, I'm actually feel a little gypped off. As a lot of people may know from this pod, I'm a big Vigilance Command villainy player, and I found that the 2/4s that I got, I'm not even interested in. One of them requiring you to have the Force, where Yaddle is just straight up good and doesn't need the Force token. And the other one from Green Villainy wants to move around experience counters, and that's not something else I'm interested in. So where Yaddle and the red one are just generically good, I also do love Yaddle's effect of giving your other Jedi units restore 1. Is that amazing? It's not the best thing ever, but it's decent, and it's not too hard to get, especially in this set. Adding more Jedis to your deck that will casually give you restore. Yaddle and Luke makes your Luke restore 4, which is disgusting.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think she's really good. And then on top of it, paired with Itinerant Warrior, who I think is also a non-legendary great card. in this color pairing. I will eventually move off this color pairing, but this color pairing got a really good amount of cards for this set. I think it's going to be if there is a force deck, it's going to, in my opinion, going to be blue red heroism.
Yeah, it feels like probably like from what I've seen, Han with that is really good.
Yeah. So an Itinerant Warrior is a 4 cost ground unit, vigilance, heroism, 4/4, force Jedi, shielded. When played, you may use the force. If you do, heal 3 damage from a base. Um, just a great card, and like Han2 gets to make it a 4/2 shielded for 3, which is like amazing. So I don't know. Like I'm a big fan of this color pairing, and if I'm not playing Palpatine, like I'm probably gonna try to find whether it's Anakin or whether it's Han2. There's gonna be some deck there that I'm gonna want to be playing because it's gonna have a lot of ways to defeat control decks. It's gonna be good against aggro decks with all the restore. It's gonna be an interesting color pairing. I think it's gonna add maybe not with a new leader, because I don't think the leaders from this set really strike me as super competitive leaders, but the cards in this set have been phenomenal. I think we'll see a lot of these cards, in the future. Even like Yaddle's one where you don't need the force, or you don't need to have the force. She's just good in general. Itinerant Warrior definitely leans more on the force, so we'll see how long lasting that card is, but that's definitely something that takes into consideration.
I do want to say that out of the 2/4s, you're going to get some of them that are good, some of them aren't. HK, which we talked about, which is a legendary. You can hear our thoughts on that in our last episode, which is why we're not going over as much legendary as right now in this conversation. But I do want to say, in maybe that red-blue heroism deck, you might also see the new Chirrut. Chirrut, it does require the force token, so whether he'll stay there long term is questionable, but he's 4 cost, 3/5 force fringe sentinel that when this unit's attack, you can use the force, and if you do, the attacker gets -2/-0 for this attack, which is super good actually. From the little bit I've been kind of testing with him, he stays a little. It's pretty hard to get rid of him. He'll often absorb multiple attacks, and as long you do not want to have another unit ready to attack to get you the force token in between the attacks you're getting from your opponent. That is one thing. You can only have one force token, so you can't load up on them to protect him.
He's definitely great. I think he definitely can change math, like a lot of like mid-range matchups too, because you get to attack for one, and then your opponent, okay, like I'll attack with this guy into that guy and kill him, but then you're like, I'm actually just gonna play Chirrut, and then they're like, oh, I could attack him and kill him with one shot with my 5 attack guy. Oh wait, you have the force, so let me, make you see if I can waste it. Attack with my 2 attack guy, and you're like, okay, I'll use the force, take nothing from Chirrut. So that small guy probably dies, and then I'll attack with a different force user, get the force back, and then basically just make sure it like unkillable for a whole turn. So, and there's other than like takedown, there's no real great answer. Like you can't open fire him or anything like that. So I mean you can, but obviously he'll still have 1 HP left, so it'll be a little weird there. But yeah, it's just like he's just a very sturdy sentinel, something that I don't think we've actually had in this game for a while. So it'll be very interesting to see how the aggro decks who typically don't have a ton of removal deal with a Chirrut. That could be a card that just like absolutely stalls something like Sabine. Because even like if you play Chirrut and they like, oh, let me ECL in my Poe, right? It's like, okay, it almost forces them to discard a card to deal 2 damage to Chirrut to basically guarantee that your Poe kills it. Because otherwise you can use the force, give it -2. He attacks for 4 and Chirrut's still alive. It like basically like makes you 2-for-1 yourself to get rid of Chirrut. And then Poe is with 3 damage on him, and that's pretty easy for like, let's say an Anakin Skywalker follow-up to just take him out with -3/-3, and then you get a 5/7. So I don't know, Chirrut's a very, very powerful card.
Axe Wolves
and Secret of Sage, which is also a shielded unit, really I think are gonna make Gar Saxon a deck. Like Gar was kind of a very fringe like possibility, but with these 2 additions earlier, you have basically unlimited shielded units in that color combo now. So it'll definitely be an interesting. I don't know. I think the set will actually change the meta.
So another card, if we're talking about cards that I think can be interesting, but that's Shin Fury, the 1 cost cunning card that is play a force unit from your hand. It gains ambush for this phase. The next time it would be able to damage this phase, prevent 2 of that damage. This is like Timely in green from set 2. This is giving Cunning the ability to give your force units ambush, but it is still really strong. Also, that prevention of damage can be really good as well. So I am interested to see how that's going to do going forward.
Yeah, this card is solid for sure. I think where it fits best into is a Chancellor Palpatine list, because you are kind of 2-for-1ing yourself. So if you're just killing 1 unit with this, it's not really worth it. And with Chancellor, you get to play like Anakin Skywalker. So I've had turns where I have killed 3 things with this card and Anakin Skywalker. And I have no damage on Anakin Skywalker. It's like a 3-for-1 basically with that sometimes. But like at worst, it's like a 2-for-1, which is still really good because you still get the 5/7 after. And obviously, you also get to play Darth Vader, the new one in that, so that's really good. But Sheen Slayer, I think, is really good. I really think we're going to see a Barriss Offee deck that someone's going to just crush with this card and like Vader. It's going to be a yellow-blue villainy because she gets to play this for free, and then Vader kind of gets to come out on curve at 6 and just kills whatever, you know? So it's something that you have to take into account. This card has been really good. You don't need the Force to play it, but it just needs a Force unit. So I think this card will likely be a player in a lot of cunning decks moving forward. To me, it's not like Itinerant Warrior that needs the Force token to heal 3 damage from the base. This just is a Force unit, and we've had those in every single set. So I don't see this card getting worse. This card is, in my opinion, only going to get better. And we'll see, what can people can cook with this card. I think this card will be a very interesting card to watch out for at Worlds.
One card that I like from this set that likes having the Force is Pong Corel. And this is for anyone that knows me, Jrod likes to say that I like to play bad cards. This might be one of those cards as well. But a 2/9 that has grit, and when this unit completes an attack and survives, you may defeat a unit with less remaining HP than this unit's power. I just have found him really fun, especially with ambush. You're coming in. If you can't defeat a unit with his 2 damage, often you can still defeat the unit that you were attacking anyways, because you lowered their health and you took damage, meaning that you're stronger, and then you still are alive and have this huge unit. So he's someone that I've have been having a lot of fun with.
So I will never put this card in any deck that I ever play for 2 reasons. One, Ponkrell. As a clone fan and fanboy, he will never be in any of my decks. Unless I am playing competitively and he is absolutely a busted broken card, I will not put him in my deck. 2, this card specifically, his subtitle is It's Treason Then, which was not for him. I'm pretty positive that was Anakin to Obi or one of those. It was not like, yes, he did do a treasonous act, but that line was not with Ponkrell.
Perfect. So I'm glad that I still play cards that Jrod despises.
You absolutely do.
Any final cards that you want to shout out here that people should be watching for from this set that are not legendary?
Yeah, I got. Let me just make sure. I got one for sure. Shin Hati is a very good card. She's a 3-cost cunning villainy. 4/2 Force Fringe. She's hidden, which is important, and shielded. Again, there's a 5/2 on turn 2 for Gar. Another card where I think Gar is going to be really good. A 4/2 shielded is real good. Between her and Dooku, who's also he's a 4/3 shielded for 4, but he's got ambush if you use the Force token. Just a 4/2 for 3 is like real good. I do suspect that we'll probably see some like Perilouses rolling around or something like that to really potentially punish all these like 2/2. There's these 2 health shielded units that's running around. If there's too many of those, then she probably won't be as good. You still have to have that card on the spot, and it's really the only card that removes her on the turn she comes out. So, other than, I guess, Power of the Dark Side, technically.
And make an opening.
Yeah. I mean, I was referring to like that as like all the -2/-2 effects. Because there's even one in the set that if you use the Force, it gives -3/-3 for the turn. So, that card could also be played against them. So, there's like 3 of them now. So, we'll see. But I think she's going to, if there is a guard deck, she's going to be in it.
I do want to actually, the cards I wanted to talk about were actually from one of the Spotlight decks, and it's Darth Tyrannus, which is, Jrod mentioned, a 4-cost 4/3 shielded. If you have the Force, it has ambush. And like that, I think it's Whirlwind of Power, the card that gives -2/-2. Both that card and Darth Tyrannus look for the Force, but they don't actually use the Force. So Whirlwind of Power gives a unit -2/-2, but if you have the Force, it's -3/-3. And Darth Tyrannus is, if you have the Force with you, this unit gains ambush. They don't actually spend it, which can be helpful for things like Chirrut, because then they're not, then you can still keep that Force up for those other effects.
Well, I guess with Tyrannus, it wouldn't matter, because if he has ambush, then you're going to get it back anyways.
If you're playing the Force base.
Right.
The one that attacks. Like, you could be playing the green rare base that just like gives you the Force.
Yeah.
So I do think that card's interesting, and I also think the Scimitar, the 4-cost 3/4 space vehicle that is, while this unit is damaged, it gets +3/+0. That card has been seeing some play that I saw, and it's been really fun to just be jacked. And that card's also a hilarious card for Always 2 because it's a unique Sith unit, even though it's a vehicle.
You actually gave me one more card that I want to, and that's a starter card, which is why I thought of it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is a ground unit, 3 cost, command heroism, 3/5, Force Jedi Republic. When you play a Force unit, including this unit gains Sentinel for the phase. And then also you get Kelleran Beck, who is a ground unit, 7 cost, command heroism, 7/7, Force Jedi Republic. When played, search the top 7 cards of your deck for a unit, reveal it, play it. It costs 3 less. So you can kind of see the combination there for those 2 cards. But Obi-Wan being a 3/5 Sentinel, basically on command if you're in a Force deck, which is obviously where you're going to want to play him, is really good. And being able to turn like Sentinel on and off when you want, I think is very powerful. And an effect that like really can change how the game is played. And then Kelleran Beck, it adds like another way for like green decks to really like keep up with the control decks. Like if you could play him in one other unit, then your opponent's like, man, like I could fell him, but then I still have another unit there. Or I just play Laser Blast. Like it's a lot of like it's a great card to play after they Laser Blast you. Like, if you have a couple units out and like, okay, I'm gonna Laser Blast here. They kill like 3 units of yours, and you play Kelleran Beck right after. And you're like, okay, Kelleran Beck plus 1 thing. They're like, oh man. And sure, they'll probably untap him, like claim initiative, and they'll probably untap and play Fell the Dragon on Kelleran or something like that. But like if they only have like power, okay, cool. I'll get rid of the small thing I have. Boom. But also of note, it says 3 less. So if you're a really late game, like there is a chain where you could be like Kelleran Beck into home 1, into something else. Like into Obi-Wan Kenobi. That could be a play you make with Kelleran Beck in home 1. Just pointing that out there to all the listeners. And I mean, like that's something that if you get to late game enough, it could be. I mean, you would need what 7 plus 5, so like 12
I think
resources.
in your ideal world, you're probably doing some you're my only hope shenanigans when you have under 5 health. So at least that first one's free.
You could do that. Oh man, that would be even. All right, so we're talking about a Yoda green deck here. Then we're getting real shenaniganly, huh? Really doing some great plays. All right, we're cooking now.
Yeah, so this is actually a great transition where we're going to talk about cards from previous sets that we think will go up with set 5 now in rotation. What cards are you expecting
Force
from
throw.
Days of Old? Okay, Force Throw was already good before.
Yeah, it was already good, but it wasn't played. Let's be fair, it was not played a ton. It was played a little bit, and usually, typically, Force leader decks like Anakin and Quinlan, were the number 1 and 2 users of Force throw. But it really like maybe uh I want to say Jin's not Jin Ray. Um, but like I think now with all of these forces, you're gonna see a lot more force. Like just probably everywhere. Like, but there really haven't been many villainy decks with it, and I would venture to guess you might see it with some villainy deck. But I mean, obviously a lot of the force users like a Kanan could be good because Kanan and a Kanan deck is very good. Um, you have the Ghost from last set could also be pretty good. I would say that Obi-Wan Kenobi from set 1 as well could be really, really good. Obviously, with more force users rolling around, you're going to have a better chance to draw a card off of his when defeated ability.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Obi-Wan still suffers from the waylay and now the only results, no glory,
yeah,
because you've just both he just suffers 6 cost unit that baby doesn't do anything. With the when you mentioned when defeated effect though, there is the 2 cost 2/2 when defeated draw card, which does seem to fit in with Grand Admiral Thrawn pretty well from set 4.
yeah,
We got a few more first order cards for Captain Phasma.
yep, I agree with that as well. I think Mace Windu from set 1 because if you're playing the force base and ambush is always important, he's someone that can turn it on for you.
Yes, that's always the fun thing about new cards. When you get new cards, you get new things that you're thinking of. Both how does these cards work with old leaders, and how do old cards work with new leaders or with new effects. When we're talking about products from other sets, I know Jrod, you mentioned you were looking at some of the prices of sealed product. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So like for this game to survive, we need a pretty healthy secondary market. I'm not saying that we need, meta cards to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. That's not what I'm saying. But we do want them to be somewhat expensive. We probably do want like a card in every set to be around $50. because it's just that good. Because if you have that one card and you have some other cards that are around $20, then the booster boxes that are MSRP'd for about $100, maybe a little bit more, 105, whatever it is, will actually be worth your money to open. The problem we're having now is if you go down to your local game store and you purchase a box of, right now, Twilight of the Republic, and you pay the MSRP that a store will charge you, which is likely going to be $100. Maybe it's, 90 right now because the box is cheaper online or whatever. But it's fine. But you're not going to open. There's no way, unless you open a showcase, to get your money back on that box. And now, even with expensive cards in the set, you're still not going to be guaranteed to, make your money back. Well, because it's still playing the lottery a little bit. But you can go online right now and purchase a single box of Twilight of the Republic for $35. That is crazy to me. I have never seen a booster box of a set that's MSRP at $100 to be $35. And everyone's like, oh, that's great. I can go buy a box and play the game and cool. You can. But the problem is that what's going to happen with stores in the future, stores are going to be unwilling to pay more than that for a booster box. And they're going to have to get them into their store to sell to you. So that means stores won't ever want to sell you this box for that price. They can't. They'll lose money and they'll go out of business. So they're just going to not buy boxes of this game anymore because they're going to get burned, because they'll be sitting on a bunch they can't sell, all that stuff. And when this game came out, it had the great thought of all of our good cards and competitive cards are not going to be legendaries. There'll be some that are legendaries, but not all of them. And that's great mindset. But I think with the set 2 and set 3, I think we've gone away holistically where like a lot of the good cards were not legendaries. And you really need to have those big legendary cards to bring more value to the box. So the boxes hold more value. People want to open them because people aren't going to want to open boxes just for a showcase when you have a 1 in 8 boxes chance to pull one on average. So that means you could open up 16 boxes and not pull one. That happened to me. I opened up 2 cases and didn't pull a single showcase in the first 2 sets. I ended up getting two cases of Twilight, and I paid $90 a box, I think it was, because I got a case. I got it a little bit cheaper. But looking at it now, it's like, man, like I should have just waited and I could have spent $300 for 2 cases or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I could have saved a bunch of money and then bought my 2 cases. So it's just unhealthy for the game. And someone like myself who I'll just buy whatever. But I've actually stopped buying booster boxes because I feel like it's not worth it. I'm still going to purchase some Carbonite boxes because I think those are a bit more worth it. I did have some good luck with them this last set, so maybe I'm a little biased on that. But we'll see if I could pull some bad pulls in this set, what happens. But like I'm planning on purchasing a couple of Carbonite booster boxes and then picking up singles as I need. Because right now in this game, singles are so cheap that it makes more sense for me to not buy boxes. And I love this game and I want to support this, but it also has to make financial sense for me as the consumer at the end of the day. I think this is a big thing, a big problem and issue for this game moving forward if we don't start seeing legendaries be better. Like Dunas was in the podcast last week and he was like, is this going to be $1? Just like he's not wrong. Like I hate that he's saying that, but he's not wrong that we have legendaries that are worth $1. Like it's just like, I don't think every legendary has to be a banger that they're all worth 20 to $50, but we need them to be playable. Like legendaries, like you need, how many do we get in each set, Faith? Do you know offhand?
15?
20, perfect. Okay. So like 10 of those cards need to be competitively playable, in my opinion. 10 of those cards can be for fun, casual, whatever, Twin Suns, not expensive cards. But like 10 of them need to be playable. I don't need them to be the best competitive cards. I need them to be like 5 of them need to be like fringe playable, and then 5 of them need to be like absolutely are going to be played. You need these cards to play competitively in every single set. I think it's how they should look at when they're building a set out. I need 5 legendaries that are bangers, that are like, you know what I mean? I need 5 legendaries that are fringe playable, that could be good, could be not good. And I need 10 legendaries that aren't that good. I think it's a fair split. I think it's fair so that way not, every box is crazy still. But it's good enough where we'll have boxes keep their value. Like, look at Spark of Rebellion is still $97 right now on for a single box compared to $35 of Twilight. Why is that? Well, because Spark of Rebellion has Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Millennium Falcon, Vigilance, Cunning. Like those are 5 cards right there that you need those cards to play competitively. You don't need all of them, but you need at least one of those. Like if you're playing competitively, you're playing one of those cards for sure, in my opinion. And there's still other ones in that set that are really good. So I just think that this is a big issue for me in this game moving forward if they don't quickly rectify this issue, in my opinion.
I think that there's something pretty fair to be said there. You do want, yeah, when you're spending your money, you want it to have at least some value. You're not going to get it all back, but you do want it to mean something. And often buying a $40 case, while it's a lower price point, means you're often walking away with nothing, or at least when prices can justify holding to $100, there's usually are those bigger cards, which will mean that they have some value in them already. So that's just something that I would agree with you for sure on keeping that amount. I will say that when I'm looking at prices of boxes, I am a little concerned seeing that middle drop. Obviously, Spark, as you mentioned, was a high place to start, and so that was that was a good place to start. Looking at the legendaries, as you mentioned, can be important. What we did see in set four with the increased number of legendaries from 16 a set to 20 a set was that the rares actually, some of them increased in price themselves. So something like a Luke Skywalker from set four, which was a rare that was able to be it's almost a $10 card as a rare, which is comparing that to Twilight. Twilight has a legendary of Cad Bane, and Cad Bane is around $10 as well. And that's the highest card in the set. So on the one hand, you've got a rare, which is $10. And the other one, you've got a legendary, which is $10. But the difference is in Jump, you have multiple cards that are kind of going to reach that price point, where in Twilight, you just have the one. So you do get the kind of economics of any game, which do vary on availability. And so supply and demand are going to be an important factor when we're considering this. Luke Skywalker is going to be a card, as we mentioned earlier, cards that will be good from previous sets that might be good now. Where Luke was pretty good last set, it'll also be good this set being a force unit and a 2-cost force unit at that. The other actual force unit that I want to talk about kind of talks about this idea as well is Maul from set 2. And Maul was a card that could have been a legendary. Often when they talk about which cards they make as legendary, there is obviously some element of strength as a potential in that number. But often they like to talk about the complexity of the card determining the rarity. So a card like Maul actually has a few things going on. It's got 2 keywords, ambush and overwhelm. It's got a good stat line, 7-4, 7-6. And then it also has that on attack effect. That way it can move damage over to an underworld unit. To me, that is enough of a thing which could have made it a legendary because it had a few different things going on the card. We're talking another card from set 2 that is played and important, Poe Dameron. It is a legendary. It's 6/6 for 5, and it has a good effect of on attack being able to discard cards. Because limited is such an important part in this game, they are definitely thinking about that. That okay, they need cards that are higher in complexity to be higher in rarity, so that way you're not playing with them over and over again. And conversely, your commons are going to be simpler cards, either vanilla or French vanilla, meaning like no text or has just a single keyword, or is going to have some ability but won't be too hard to understand. So those are just some of the cards that I wanted to point out from previous sets that were rares, which do have some value. Like in set 4, Luke Skywalker, the green one, had value. And we got to hope that in this set, we do have some banger legendaries. Again, we talked about last week, Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, Grogu. These cards will hopefully hold some value, but we'll have to see how the rares also hold in this set to see how much the secondary market cost will be. Does that kind of make sense, Jrod?
It does, absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll have to, again, see how it goes. What other thoughts do you have on, like, how do you think the set will do from looking at set 5? Do you think it will hold its value? Where do you think it will be? Will it be a Spark level? Do you think it'll be Twilight level?
I definitely think it's better than Twilight. I think we have 2 banger legendaries in Luke and Vader. Again, I'm sorry, Anakin and Vader, excuse me. And then we have some other legendaries I think could be really good. So I think we'll have a better chance, but I don't think we have the level of Spark Rebellion. I think that it'll be close to it, but I don't think it'll be as good. So we'll have to wait and see. It'll really depend, again, on exactly what the playability of the legendaries are. Obviously, you have the 2/4 for aggression villainy being a legendary, so that'll boost that one up. Because if you're playing an aggression villainy deck, you're gonna need to play that card, I would imagine. So that card will probably be worth something kind of like Kylo's Silencer. It's just like a mandatory. And you have a card like Yoda, which I think is a very good end game card as well. Grand Inquisitor, I think, is a good card. Qui-Gon's a good card. I think Bendu could be a real good card. Grogu's a good card. So we definitely have, and even Constructed Lightsaber is really good, and it's gray, which is important. So I think we have a better chance with this set being good because of some of the power of the legendaries we have here, compared to what we've had before. So we do have some duds, absolutely, but you need those as well. Those are also important. So and Leia Organa is also well. She's kind of little niche, but I think she could be good as well. So we'll see. I mean, it's definitely all to the legendaries. There's definitely some very good rares, some very good uncommons, some very good commons that we'll definitely see a ton of play. So this set overall, I think, is a very good power level, but so the price of boxes will come down to being about the legendaries, in my opinion. If they're good, then we'll be good. If they're not good, then we'll have another dud box to buy. But I don't think we're gonna have that. I think it's gonna be closer to Spark than it is closer to Twilight.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I actually have it, I think, right now being the second most expensive set. Shadows actually, like, there are some bangers in Shadows. You
Yeah,
mentioned Kylo Sai. There's Poe. I mean, Wrecker's a fine rare to pull. You're not hating your life if you pull a Wrecker. You're not hating your life if you pull a Maul. So there's a couple different cards. The one other card I want to talk about, which will, I think, be interesting from Shadows, is Lone Pike. Being able to give your opponents shields with the new with the new Vader is kind of a funny thing. So we might see some more for Lone Pike,
I mean,
and with the new Zuckuss as well. You might see more for Lone though as well, because the new Zuckuss, the double yellow one, is 5 costs, which means you can give it ambush outright with an attack from playing for Lone
he's
material.
only good with like the set one uh wrong. So I don't know how good he'll act, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I do think this will be better than Shadows, by a good bit. I do think Shadows was actually a pretty set, even though people hated that. Like, I don't think the set was as fun as people wanted it to be, but it did add some good cards. You have like Crate Dragon, Snoke, Darksaber, like Wrecker, Kira, Cassian, Zine, Pershing, Fell the Dragon, right? So we had a lot of, and DJ before he got banned, right? Like we had a lot of good cards in this set.
Hmm.
So I think that this set was good. I just think that other set, set 5 here, will force will be a bit better than what
Yeah.
we've seen so far in the more recent sets. Spark was absolutely a banger. Starting off the game on the right foot was a lot of fun to play. Um, so I'm hoping that set 5 puts us back on track. Like I don't like within like the sets, right? Or in the block. I'm gonna use the term block. So when I'm talking about blocks, I'm talking about like 1, 2, 3 is a block, 4, 5, 6 is a block, and then 7, 8, 9. I do hope they start moving towards in the blocks, like set the first set in the block sets a foundational keyword new for like the block, and then they'll push it a little bit in the next 2 sets, but not a lot, a little bit, right? And introduce new keywords in the other 2 sets like they do, but still keep the old keyword still kind of around a little bit, if that makes sense, for those sets. So that way you'll have some, like you'll have capture be a thing throughout all 3 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like to kind of,
Particularly like Smuggle. Like if Smuggle was in set
yes.
2, also
Yeah.
being in set 3.
Yeah, even like 1 or 2 that just kind of makes sense for whatever they're looking to do. You know what I mean? I think that would have been an interesting way to go about that. Or new ways to make old leaders a bit better that are so niche. Like, I'm going to use Bosk. I know he was competitive for a couple of things, but like the bounties, there's only so many bounties. So he's not getting new ones. So he's not going to get any better, which I'm glad because Bosk was definitely a unfun leader to play against when he was paired of blue. Um, but again, they could have changed that whole issue with Bosk if you made better bounties in other colors that wasn't blue, right? But the bounties just happen to be best in blue. So it'll be interesting. I hope they start doing something like that because it'll be, I think, good for the game and will allow you to play more leaders. I think that's the biggest thing right now. People are like, "Oh, well, Premier only has so many leaders." Like, I appreciate that. I get why there can only be so many competitive leaders, and most of the leaders are going to be designed for draft in mind and not Premier. But it would be cool and interesting to be able to maybe have a leader not be great to start with and more of a draft leader, and then oh, we added these couple of cards in later, and it made them not like hyper competitive, but like you could probably play that later if you if it was your favorite leader and go to a tournament and do okay if you were good at it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that. Well, thank you everyone for checking in with us as we prepare for set five. We will see you next time on Outmaneuver.
I